के साथ अगर क्वेश्चन आंसर में डायरेक्ट भी आप क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं। वो अगर वो अपना, तो वही है ना, सिस्टम थोड़ा बदल गया।
सर
तो
ऐसा
5 साल।
है, अभी ना मैं बच्चों को लाउड नहीं करूँगी, उनका लाउड स्पीकर ऑन नहीं करूँगी।
अच्छा अच्छा।
जब आपकी 12:30 बजे क्लास है ना, तो मैं बारह
हाँ
बीस पे ऑन कर दूँगी उनका स्पीकर, ताकि वो आपसे बात कर सकें।
ठीक है मैडम। अच्छा, उसका बाद जब खत्म हो जाएगा, कई बार लास्ट टाइम क्या हुआ कि मैं क्वेश्चन, मैंने बोला कि क्वेश्चन वगैरह पूछो, और उनका कुछ क्वेरीज था नहीं, वो कुछ को किसी ने कुछ बोला नहीं।
कोई
तो
बात
मैंने
नहीं, यदि
फिर,
नहीं होगा तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है सर, फिर
हाँ,
आप उस वक़्त ही खत्म कर
नहीं
सकते
नहीं,
हैं।
मैं उसका बाद में इंतजार करता रहा, लेकिन पिछली बार जो थे वो शायद आ नहीं पाए लाइन पे। तो फिर मैंने लास्ट को फिर मैंने लीव किया। तो ऐसे, लेकिन आप तो रहेंगे, मुझे याद पता है, आप बहुत
हाँ
सिंसियर है।
जी।
लेकिन अगर नहीं आ पाए तो मैं लीव कर सकता हूँ ना, जब हो
हाँ,
जाए।
बिल्कुल सर, आप लीव कर सकते हैं, यदि आपके क्वेश्चन आंसर्स खत्म हो जाएँ तो आप लीव कर दीजिएगा, मैं अपने आप बंद कर दूँगी इसे।
ठीक है मैडम,
कोई
ठीक है,
दिक्कत
थैंक
नहीं,
यू
और
सो
सर आप
मच।
अपने पीपीटी शेयर कर दीजिए।
हाँ हाँ, मैं कर रहा हूँ अभी। वीडियो भी ऑन कर देता हूँ और पीपीटी भी।
हाँ जी, वीडियो ऑन करके पीपीटी शेयर कर दीजिए।
हाँ मैम, व्यू को कर पा रहे हैं स्क्रीन को?
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल भी हो रहा है।
हाँ ठीक है
तो
मैडम।
आप स्टार्ट कर दीजिए सर।
ओके ओके, थैंक यू सो मच,
थैंक
थैंक
यू।
यू। ओके, सो वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग डियर स्टूडेंट्स। as I was talking to you last time कि this period will be devoted to international terrorism. On international terrorism, you have definitely going to face a question in the university examination. This is a very important topic, and as I have been telling you every time that it will be done both in English as well as in Hindi, so you have to be patient. Okay, so your topic is international terrorism. And why it is called international terrorism? Because terrorism, which was earlier confined to specific areas with their specific objectives, now it is becoming international under the impact of globalization, and by using the global technologies, terrorism has become very, you can say, dangerous and devastating. And that is why in contemporary international politics, it has occupied the center stage. And that is why in your syllabus it is specifically mentioned international terrorism. So we'll be talking about how this international terrorism is new from the earlier terrorism, and how what are the causes of such terrorism, how it can be tackled. Obviously it is a global issue and we need global strategy. And when evolving global strategy, we have to obviously keep in mind that all the countries, they must forget their narrow self-interest and they must rise above that and devise a common strategy. So we cannot afford the lack of consensus, which is actually affecting us, whether it is global environmental issues or issues such as inequality and poverty or international terrorism. Every time we are actually faced with a problem of lack of consensus. Okay, so we'll be talking about all of that. And in the next class, obviously we'll be talking about a bit about migration, human security, and then slowly we'll move on to what is called the management section, that is governance. How the governance model has to be both public, private. It should be, it should not be left to the state alone. Obviously it has to be PPP, public private partnership. We'll talk about all of that. And then in the last class, I will be also giving you some important questions and we can take up certain issues as well. So terrorism or global threat, that is the first slide. Will be bit, obviously very quick in recapitulating the things. So please cooperate with me. The phenomenal rise of the menace of terrorism is on the center stage of international politics. And please remember, since it is a global issue, it doesn't obviously get confined to specific nation states. It is across the boundaries of nation states, and that is why it has become so formidable and global. And that is the very nature of contemporary phase of terrorism in this contemporary phase of international relations. And this is, please remember, rapid advancements in the scientific and technological domains. And of course, there is a cooperation from another important thing, that is ideological intoxication. It is because of this, ideological intoxications on the one hand, and use of scientific and technological advancements. It is because of that the cult of terrorism is becoming what is called super terrorism, is becoming completely a new phenomenon and very dangerous. It's very difficult now to track these terrorist groups, to identify their movement, to obviously fight against them, because they virtually they are using the global network, and in many things, please remember, they are much ahead of the security agencies, and that is why they are becoming so lethal, so dangerous in causing devastation and all kinds of untold miseries on the people, and creating a kind of psychological trauma in the minds of the people. That is one of the basic objectives of all the terrorist groups. They would like to terrify the people, to create a reign of terror. And particularly, as we all know, 9/11 attacks in 2001, where World Trade Center was attacked in a very novel way by aircrafts. And after that, you know it pretty well how even the most powerful nations, such as the United States of America, which was obviously one of the superpower, but now it is the only superpower, the most powerful country in the world. Even people in that country, they couldn't feel secure. They were always, feeling insecure, in the sense that they thought that 9/11 attacks probably have opened a new era where they also are very dangerously placed, and they are living in precarious and vulnerable situations, and nobody, probably even not their powerful state, could give them any kind of protection. हिंदी में थोड़ा इसको बता देता हूं. जो आतंकवाद अभी हमारी समय में जिस तरीका से अंतर्राष्ट्रीय राजनीति में सेंटर स्टेज ऑक्युपाई करके रखा है, जो कि पर्यावरण और जैसे पॉवर्टी, इनइक्वालिटी की तरह ये भी एक ग्लोबल इश्यूज है, और इसीलिए इसकी असर सिर्फ एक राष्ट्र राज्य तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि ये पूरी तरह से अंतर्राष्ट्रीय है. इसीलिए अंतर्राष्ट्रीय आतंकवाद इसका नाम रखा गया आपकी सिलेबस में. और ये इसीलिए बहुत ज्यादा भयंकर हो रहा है, और पहले के आतंकवाद से काफी डेंजरस इसीलिए हो रहा है क्योंकि इसमें जो तेजी से जो एडवांसमेंट्स साइंटिफिक और टेक्नोलॉजिकल फील्ड में हो रही है, ये सारी फायदा टेररिज्म को भी मिल रहा है, उसका भी ये इस्तेमाल कर रहा है. उसके साथ साथ जो आइडियोलॉजिकल इंटॉक्सिकेशन, विचारधारात्मक रूप में जिस तरीका से विचारधारा भी कहीं ना कहीं ऐसा एक आतंकवाद की विचारधारा कहीं ना कहीं पनप रहा है, और उसको कई बार कोई भी धर्म गलत नहीं होता है, फिर भी उसको धर्म के साथ भी कई बार जोड़ के धर्म का गलत तरीका से उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन करके उसको उसके साथ जोड़ के जो एक कल्ट बनाया जाता है, उसके माध्यम से आप देखते हैं कि कैसे जो टेररिस्ट है उनके मन के ऊपर भी तरह तरह की दबाव डाल के उनको पूरी तरह से ट्रांसफॉर्म कर देते हैं, ताकि वो मारने मरने पर तैयार हो जाते हैं. और इसकी वजह से ये जो विचारधात्मक एक तरफ और दूसरी तरफ साइंटिफिक और टेक्नोलॉजिकल जो मेथड से उसको इस्तेमाल करते हुए ये आज टेररिज्म, सुपर टेररिज्म बन चुका है. और खास करके 9/11 के अटैक्स के बाद आप देख रहे हैं कि अमेरिका जैसे एक बहुत सशक्त, सबसे शक्तिशाली राष्ट्र, वहाँ का लोग भी अब सुरक्षित महसूस नहीं कर रहे हैं. वो भी 9/11 के बाद पूरी तरह से डरे हुए थे, और तरह तरह की उनको ऐसे फीलिंग आ रही थी कि किसी भी समय में उनके ऊपर किसी भी तरह की अटैक हो सकता है, क्योंकि वर्ल्ड ट्रेड सेंटर जिस तरीका से आप भी कई बार न्यूज चैनल में देखे होंगे, उस दृश्य को दिखाया जाता है, और जिस तरीका से वो इतनी बड़ी बिल्डिंग पूरा धराशायी हो जाती है। और वो जो नॉवेल तरीका से इस अटैक को किया गया, तो इससे कोई भी किसी के कंट्री का लोग डर जाना ये स्वाभाविक है। तो इसलिए ये सुपर टेररिज्म बन चुका है। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। अभी and there is a new phenomenon today actually, since after this 9/11 episode, it has been declared by United States of America that it is a fight against terrorism, and it is an international fight, a global fight against terror. And please remember, now actually a lot of efforts are taking place in marginal states, in the small and marginal states. A lot of things are actually being done, not only to save these countries from terrorist attack, but also to have a kind of a collective endeavor, a collective strategy, a common strategy to fight against terrorism. And yes, of course, sometimes you would feel that there are repercussions also, there are negative consequences of these kind of strategies, because since all the countries are not in the same page as far as our fight against terrorism is concerned, so there are all kinds of objectives which can be attributed to this. This can lead to actually kind of domination in these marginal states also. So there are other aspects. Okay, and because of lack of consensus. But yes, another important thing that we must have in mind, that terrorism is not a new thing. It has been happening from time immemorial. It was there in the past also, but there is a difference. There is a difference in the sense that now actually the religion-based pan-ideological as well as the spatial dimensions have given new orientations to the idea of terrorism. And this is what actually is making it very dangerous, which was not there in the past. So it is spreading to other areas. There is a lot of integration which is taking place. We will be talking about that in the other slides also. There are comprehensive discussion on those things. How actually coordination is happening, how they are cooperating and collaborating with each other, the terrorist groups. Earlier, actually, they were actually, confined to certain areas, and they had their isolated objectives, and they would be confining themselves to those areas only. But now they are spreading worldwide, and they are using the global network to their advantage, and global technology also to their advantage. And because the information technology has become so well developed now, okay, 24/7, satellite communications, all that, GPS. So they are adequately using these methodologies, and they are becoming very dangerous. आज एक नई चीज जो दिखाई जा रही कि छोटे छोटे जो राज्य है उनके अंदर भी बहुत सारी कार्रवाई हो रही है, क्योंकि खाली उनको रक्षा करने के लिए नहीं टेररिज्म से, बल्कि सामूहिक रूप में अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई के लिए इस तरह की आयोजन की जरूरत है, ऐसा महसूस किया जाता है। लेकिन इसका एक कॉन्सिक्वेंस, परिणाम भी है। जब इस तरीका से डेवलपिंग स्टेट्स में अब फोकस आ रहा है, जो कोल्ड वॉर के समय में नहीं था, ये कहीं ना कहीं जो आउटसाइड, ये जो कॉम्प्लेक्स, जो कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग सिचुएशन से अलग थे, अब जो है सारी फोकस यहाँ पर हो रही है। और इसका एक गलत परिणाम भी हो सकता है, क्योंकि ये जो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज है, अंडर डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज है, ये कहीं ना कहीं बड़े बड़े राष्ट्र की कब्जा में आ सकते हैं, और उनकी वजह से उनकी गलत तरीका से इस्तेमाल भी हो सकती है। क्योंकि जब तक सभी हम एक पेज में नहीं रहेंगे टेररिज्म के साथ लड़ाई करने के लिए, और जब वहां पर एक तरह से सहमति नहीं बन पाएगी, तो इस तरीका से राष्ट्रीय स्वार्थ के लिए बड़े बड़े राष्ट्र इनका शोषण कर सकता है। और एक जो बात के प्रति हम लोग को दृष्टि आकर्षण करने की जरूरत है, आतंकवाद बहुत पहले भी था, ये नहीं कि आज ये हो रहा है, ये पहले भी आतंकवाद चली आ रही है बहुत पुराना समय से। लेकिन जो इसको ज्यादा भयंकर कर रहा है, ज्यादा खतरनाक बना रहा है, वो ये है कि अब वो रिलीजियन बेस्ड पैन आइडियोलॉजिकल, यानी विचारधारा, धर्म, और धर्म को एक तरह से उसका व्याख्या करते हुए अपनी जो गलत उद्देश्य को पूर्ति करने के लिए धर्म का उद्देश्य भी परिवर्तन कर देते हैं, धर्म का अर्थ भी परिवर्तन किया जाता है। उसको अलग तरीका से जैसे इंटरप्रिटेशन करते हुए उसको विचारधारा के साथ जोड़ के जिस तरीका से आप देख रहे हैं कि आतंकवाद में वो चीजें अब आ गया कि एक जगह में जो आतंकवाद सीमित था वो अब और हिस्सा के साथ जुड़ रहा है, और जो टेररिस्ट ग्रुप से उनके साथ अपने आप को विचारधात्मक रूप में जोड़ने की प्रयत्न कर रहा है, और एक तरह से अपनी तरीका से जो धर्म का ये खास करके परिभाषा देने उसके अंदर उनको लाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो इसमें ये क्या हो रहा है कि इनका कोऑर्डिनेशन, इनकी कोलैबोरेशन बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ रहा है, और इसमें मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी उनको बहुत ज्यादा मदद कर रहा है, और इसकी वजह से आज वो बहुत ज्यादा खतरनाक हो रहे हैं। इसमें and of course, you know, regarding Samuel P. Huntington, when you talk about his conceptualization regarding this, he has a very important work called Class of Civilization, about which actually we'll be talking in a much more detailed manner later on. But yes, I mean, here again, he's talking about that kind of an ideological grouping, that kind of a religious grouping. Of course, religion can be interpreted in a particular way, because no religion is bad actually, you know, because you will find in every religion there are the ideals are the same. Okay, peace, tranquility, brotherhood, sisterhood, humanity, human values. Okay, so in Class of Civilization, Samuel P. Huntington was conceptualizing that the entire world would be divided into two different contrasting civilizations. On the one hand, you will have the Islamic variety with their ideological indoctrination. On the other hand, you have Christianity and other such religions, which will be obviously, and other such ideological groups which will be obviously aligning with it. So between these two important confrontations, the world will pass through, and this he had predicted a long time back, which people say that is almost coming true today. Ideology indeed has been an important driving force behind the conduct of violent activities by terrorists in many countries of the world. And in this connection, you know, how ideology is playing an important role, the example of communist and Maoist inspired bloodbath in many parts of the world are very often cited as example. The communist and Maoist inspired violence in the past was taking place in many parts of the world. Many countries were being affected by this, okay, particularly during the Cold War era. But there is a difference between this ideological violence, which was inspired by communist and Maoist ideology, and the violence that we see today. If you compare the scale and reach and the mayhem, the destruction, the devastation which is carried out by the present day terrorist groups with this ideologically oriented communist Maoist inspired violence, then you will find that today's violence is much more devastating, and their scale, their reach is much wider. But communist and Maoist inspired violence was quite limited in that sense. So it was no match. If you look at the scale, if you look at the reach, today's violence is much more comprehensive. And the coordination that is happening today is much more dangerous and quite phenomenal. विचारधारात्मक परिप्रेक्ष्य में हम कई बार सैमुअल पी हंटिंगटन की जो बहुत एक इम्पॉर्टेंट किताब है क्लास ऑफ सिविलाइजेशन, जो बहुत साल पहले लिखा गया था, और आज कहा जा रहा है कि उन्होंने जो बात विश्व के बारे में कहा था इतनी समय पहले, वो बात आज सच हो रही है। क्योंकि उन्होंने कहीं ना कहीं ये बात कहा था कि एक तरफ इस्लामिक जो रिलीजियस ग्रुप और उनके साथ और भी कई ग्रुप जुड़ जाएंगे अपने अपने तरीका से जो रिलीजन को इंटरप्रेट करते हैं, और उनके साथ उनकी विचारधारा जो कि हिंसा के ऊपर आधारित विचारधारा, वो भी जुड़ जाएगा। दूसरी तरफ ये एक सिविलाइजेशन होगा, एक सभ्यता होगा। दूसरी तरफ और एक सभ्यता जो क्रिश्चियन रिलीजन और उसके साथ जितनी सारी हिंदू ये वो बुद्धिस्ट और जो भी और भी कई सारी ग्रुप है, वो भी जुड़ जाएंगे। तो इसको वो ब्रॉडली दो अलग अलग सभ्यता के रूप में रखते हुए कह रहे थे कि इनके बीच में एक बहुत बड़ा संघर्ष होगा। और कुछ लोग को लग रहा है कि ऐसे ही संघर्ष शायद आज निकट आ रहा है, और इसीलिए विचारधारा के ऊपर यहाँ पर जैसे सैमुअल पी हंटिंगटन की किताब में जिसके बारे में आइडियोलॉजी भी एक बहुत बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट मुद्दा था, उसी तरीका से और भी आप देखते हैं जो कम्युनिस्ट और माओइस्ट जो आइडियोलॉजी है, विचारधारा है, उससे भी प्रभावित होकर कई बार कई कंट्रीज में ऐसे हिंसात्मक घटना घटित हो रही थी, खास करके कोल्ड वॉर एरा के टाइम में। आज भी आप देखते हैं कई बार जो हमारा भारत में जो नक्सलाइट मूवमेंट है उनको भी माओइस्ट कहा जाता है, क्योंकि वो भी कहीं ना कहीं कम्युनिस्ट माओइस्ट जो विचारधारा है उसके द्वारा भी प्रभावित है। लेकिन इनका जो हिंसा को अगर तुलना किया जाएगा, ये जो विचारधारा से प्रभावित हिंसा को और तुलना किया जाएगा आज की जो हिंसा हो रही है, तो आप देखेंगे कि जो स्केल और जो रीच है आज की हिंसा का, जितनी व्यापक है, और इनके पास जितनी रिसोर्सेस है, जितना कोऑर्डिनेशन है, जितना मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी है, पहले की जो कम्युनिस्ट माओइस्ट के द्वारा जो प्रभावित होने वाली जो हिंसा हो रही थी वो इतनी प्रभावी नहीं था, इतनी व्यापक नहीं था, वो कुछ जगह तक सीमित था। नेक्स्ट, and in this connection actually we'll be probably talking about certain things like financial resources available at the disposal of the religion based and ideology driven terrorist groups far outweigh the logistical resources of the communist ideology inspired groups. Look, now we are talking of the religion based ideology driven terrorist groups which are operating in contemporary time, in our time. They have tremendous financial resources. They have modern technologies at their command. The global network they are using. Okay. Their logistical resources are far more than the resources that the communist ideology inspired groups are having at their command. Okay. So that is why the contemporary international terrorism is becoming so dangerous, so devastating. And here one example is given. Terrorist groups of the earlier time, of course, terrorist groups operating in Kashmir, Chechnya, Palestine, Northern Ireland. Okay. Earlier, actually, they were fighting for their isolated causes. They had their own, objectives. They are designed. And they were obviously limiting their operations to these areas, Kashmir, Chechnya, Palestine, Northern Ireland, but they are not actually spreading to other parts of the world. But today, these same terrorist groups, please remember, which are operating in Kashmir, Chechnya, Palestine, Northern Ireland, they are having all kinds of collaboration, integration with terrorist groups working elsewhere. And they are devising their common strategy. That is why they are becoming so important, and they are getting their funds from different sources, Hawla channel, and these sources are much more, and that is why they are becoming so dangerous. अभी विचारधारात्मक जो विषय के ऊपर ही हम बात को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं, जो फाइनेंशियल रिसोर्सेस अभी जो धर्म के ऊपर आधारित, विचारधारा के ऊपर आधारित जो टेररिस्ट ग्रुप हमारी समसामयिक के समय में काम कर रहे हैं, इनकी जो लॉजिस्टिकल रिसोर्सेस है, जो साधन है, ये बहुत ज़्यादा है। कम्युनिस्ट आइडियोलॉजी विचारधारा की द्वारा प्रभावित जो पहले का जो टेररिस्ट ग्रुप है, वो उनके पास इतनी साधन नहीं था, तो वो इतने खतरनाक नहीं थे, वो अपनी कुछ लिमिटेड एरिया में काम करते थे। जैसे कि यहाँ पर एक एग्जाम्पल दिया जा रहा है कि टेररिस्ट ग्रुप्स जो ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं कश्मीर में, चेचनिया में, पैलेस्टाइन में, नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड में, तो वो आप कुछ साल पहले आप देखेंगे वो ऐसे काम कर रहे थे जैसे कि आइसोलेटेड है, उनकी एक दूसरे के साथ कोई बहुत ज़्यादा वास्ता नहीं था, कोऑर्डिनेशन नहीं था, और उनके साधन भी बहुत सीमित था, और उनका उद्देश्य भी सीमित था। वो अपनी एरिया की अंदर ही रह के काम करते थे और जगह पे इसको फैलाने की कोशिश नहीं कर रहे। लेकिन वही ग्रुप आज जो टेररिस्ट ग्रुप्स कश्मीर, चेचनिया, पैलेस्टाइन, नॉर्दर्न आयरलैंड में, वो आज अपनी कार्य को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए और टेररिस्ट ग्रुप जो और एरिया में काम कर रहे हैं उनके साथ जिस तरीका से कोऑर्डिनेशन कर रहे हैं, जिस तरीका से उनका इंटीग्रेशन हो रही है और कॉमन पॉलिसी वो डिवाइज कर रहे हैं, एक दूसरे को मदद कर रहे हैं, और संसाधन भी बड़ी व्यापक रूप में उनको हवाला चैनल के माध्यम से जो मिलता है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है। तो इसीलिए आज ये समसामयिक समय में बहुत ज़्यादा खतरनाक बन चुके हैं। Spatial dimension of terrorism, now we'll be talking about how these are actually spread into other areas, like for example as far as Copenhagen, Bali, London, Karachi, Bangalore. Okay, so the current phase of terrorism, such isolated and restrained terrorist operations are increasingly getting integrated, which I have been discussing for quite some times now. I think things would be clear to you, with the global network of terrorist organizations, and this is resulting in concerted and coordinated method of functioning of these organizations, and they are expanding to other areas which were not noticed earlier. They are spreading to places like Copenhagen, Bali, London, Karachi, and Bangalore. Karachi, yes, even Karachi. Pakistan is also being affected. It's not, yes, Pakistan, of course, is famous for state-sponsored terrorism, cross-border terrorism, and by that it is obviously attacking India and trying to subject India to 1,000 courts. That is there. But then when you are actually, you will be kind of sheltering terrorists in your own backward, sooner or later they will also harm you. Okay, like if you have snakes in your backward, you will be the first target. They will bite you at some point in time. So the same thing is happening to Pakistan also, but nonetheless Pakistan is also affected by terrorism. Okay, so what the 21st century terrorism stands for, how it is getting a new orientation, and how there is a transformation which is taking place of localized terrorism, terrorism which was localized earlier, specific to particular areas. Okay, how they are being transformed completely and becoming international terrorism of the present time. It is because of the coordination, because of the integration, because of their concerted and coordinated method of functioning, where they are kind of helping each other. अभी स्पेटियल डायमेंशन ऑफ टेररिज्म में हम वही बात को डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि किस तरीका से जो स्थानीय स्तर पर जो आतंकवाद वो कैसे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बन रही है, किस तरीका से जो आइसोलेटेड जो सीमित था उसमें आप देख रहे हैं कि आज जो नेटवर्क, ग्लोबल नेटवर्क को इस्तेमाल करते हुए अलग अलग जगह पे जो टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है उनके बीच में कैसे कंसर्टेड कोऑर्डिनेटेड मेथड अपनाया जा रहा है, और इनकी बीच में जो सहसंबंध है उसकी वजह से आप देख रहे हैं कैसे इसको दूर दूर तक पहुंचाया जा रहा है। कोपेनहेगन, बाली, इन लंदन, कराची, बेंगलोर, कराची पाकिस्तान में, बेंगलोर इंडिया में, लंदन यूके, बाली इंडोनेशिया, कोपेनहेगन, मतलब अब देखो कहाँ कहाँ ये फैल नहीं रहा है। इसलिए 21st सेंचुरी का जो टेररिज्म है इसमें जो स्थानीय आतंकवाद को पूरी तरह से रूपांतरण कर दिया गया, बदल दिया गया, अब वो सही मायने पे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय आतंकवाद बन गया, जिसको आप सिर्फ वैश्विक नीति, वैश्विक स्तर पे, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे अगर कुछ ऐसे सहमति के आधार पर कुछ स्ट्रैटेजी अपनाया जाएगा, उस तभी जाके आप उनको कंट्रोल कर पाएंगे, क्योंकि ये ग्लोबल नेटवर्क के द्वारा परिचालित होकर बहुत डेंजरस हो गया है। कीथ सिमको एक बहुत बड़ा सिद्धांत शास्त्री, उनके बारे में अभी हम चर्चा करेंगे। 3 एलिमेंट्स के बारे में टेररिज्म का वो बात करते हैं। फर्स्ट वन इज it involves threat or use of violence. Threat of using violence, it can be a simple threat, it can be the actual use of violence. Okay, so both the things are included in terrorism. You can actually circulate a threat that you are going to do such and such thing. You may not do that, but the threat will create obviously a psychological trauma in the minds of the people. That is also terrorism. And the other one is actual use of violent methods and causing mayhem, death and destruction. Both are included in terrorism. Second, this violence is perpetrated in order to achieve some broader social or political aim. So now we are talking of the objectives. What objectives are there? They link it to some broader social and or political aims and objectives. Third, the use of violence is indiscriminate, as the basic purpose is to induce far-reaching psychological effects in the minds of the masses. I mean, to terrorize the masses, if that is the objective. So you don't have to be selective. You are indiscriminate. If you are attacking a particular gathering, you are not actually choosing your targets. Who it could be? It could be an old man, a lady, a child, anybody. It is indiscriminate. They don't care a straw. Okay. Anybody that comes their way will be killed. So that is called indiscriminate, because the whole idea is to create a pure psychosis, to have psychological effects in the minds of the masses, to terrorize them, to have a reign of terror. Since that is their objective, so violence here becomes indiscriminate, not selective. कीथ सिमको के अनुसार 3 उपादान है, 3 विशेषताएं हैं टेररिज्म का, आतंकवाद का। एक तो हिंसा का भय दिखाना या हिंसा का एक्चुअल प्रयोग करना, दोनों उसमें गिना जाता है। और दूसरा क्या है कि जब ऐसे हिंसात्मक तरीका अपनाया जाएगा, उसको जोड़ा जाता है कुछ व्यापक सामाजिक और राजनीतिक लक्ष्य के साथ, कि उसका पीछे कुछ लक्ष्य है। तीसरा, ये जो हिंसा, ये ऐसे हिंसा है जिसमें कोई सोच विचार नहीं होती है कि किसको मारे किसको ना मारे। एक गैदरिंग का ऊपर जब अटैक होता है तो उसमें मन मर्जी करके गोलीबारी होती है, जो भी सामने आया वो मरा। इसमें कोई सिलेक्ट नहीं किया जाता, इसमें महिलाएं भी शामिल हैं, बच्चे भी शामिल हैं, हर धर्म का लोग भी शामिल है। ऐसा भी नहीं है कोई एक धर्म का लोग, कई लोग उसमें शामिल होते हैं, क्योंकि इसके उद्देश्य है आतंक फैलाना, लोग की मन में भय उत्पन्न करना। अब हम बात कर रहे हैं कि एक जो रियलिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव, which is an important perspective in international relations, that actually has a kind of a support for state sponsored violence. If violence is adopted as a method by the state, the realist scholars would feel that state has the monopoly of using physical force, and if any other individual or organization is using violence, that is illegal. Only state is justified because its use of force is legitimate, and it is legitimate in almost all circumstances, so they justify use of physical force by the state. Okay, so it is state-centric approach, realist perspective. But it has been criticized by critical theorists. Critical theorists would say that this is subjective rhetoric, and the objective is that Western states, the developed countries of the West, they would like to preserve their monopoly on the legitimacy of violence in international system, whereas they will consider all other violence, even political violence, adopted by other groups in other countries, which may have a genuine reason, but even then they will call them terrorists. Whereas the kind of violence that they are using, they will say that they have monopoly to use that kind of violence because it is legitimate under all circumstances. So this is being criticized by the critical theorists that this is subjective rhetoric. You cannot do that. How can you actually classify all violence, even political violence, okay, which are being done for some political reasons because other forms of protest are not available. So people are helpless if they are actually becoming violent. But you are clubbing them to be terrorist. But whereas you are justifying maybe your terrorist act, which are state sponsored, but you are justifying those acts because it is being done by a state. Okay, and that way, you are obviously trying to preserve the monopoly on the legitimacy of violence. You are trying to preserve that with the Western states. You feel that the Western states have that monopoly. Okay, which is pretty bad. इसमें यथार्थवादी सोच ये कहता है कि राज्य का एकाधिकार है शक्ति प्रयोग करने का, और ये शक्ति जब प्रयोग होती है हर परिस्थिति में ये लेजिटिमेट है, ये सही है, न्यायोचित है, क्योंकि राज्य इसको करता है। तो राज्य को ही सिर्फ ये शक्ति, ये अधिकार है, इसीलिए एकाधिकार। अगर कोई भी ऐसा करता है तो वो टेररिस्ट है। लेकिन इस तरह की तर्क को क्रिटिकल थियोरिस्ट इसको आलोचना करते हैं। वो कहते हैं ये सब्जेक्टिव रेटोरिक है, इसका कोई मूल्य नहीं है। आप कोई भी इवन राजनीतिक हिंसा भी कोई कर रहा है जिसके पास कोई चारा नहीं है, कोई और मेथड नहीं है स्ट्रगल करने के लिए, उसकी हिंसा को आप टेररिस्ट कह रहे हो, आतंकवादी कह रहे हो। अब जो आपकी राज्य जो हिंसा कर रहा है उसको आप कहते हैं कि ये सही है और सभी परिस्थिति में सही है। इसका मतलब आप अपनी एकाधिकार, ये जो हिंसात्मक तरीका को अपनाने के लिए आपकी एकाधिकार को आप बनाए रखना चाहते हैं अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यवस्था में, जो कि गलत है। क्रिटिकल थियरिस्ट वही चीजों को फिर ये दे कंटिन्यू, वेस्टर्न स्टेट्स कैन नॉट क्लेम मॉरल सुपीरियरिटी एंड इट्स एसोसिएटेड लेजिटिमेसी बिकॉज morality is relative. You cannot say that you are morally superior to other people. You cannot say that. Moral values of each group of people or each locality even are different from other people. Our moral values may not actually, tally with moral values of other people. Okay, but there is no question of moral superiority. Nobody is superior or inferior. We have our own notion of morality. So it is criticized that Western states cannot claim moral superiority. They cannot claim that they are morally superior. And their argument of associated legitimacy, since they are morally superior, they would say that the kind of violence that their states are indulging in, those violence are legitimate violence, and they have legitimate authority or power to use that kind of physical force. Okay, so this is actually like interpreting rules and regulations according to your own convenience. You are actually interpreting rules and regulations according to your own convenience. Thus, the idea of state terrorism or state-sponsored terrorism doesn't remain confined only to the sphere of the developing countries, because this was one of the important strategy of the developed countries, the Western countries. They would actually say that state terrorism or state-sponsored terrorism, it is confined to developing countries only. But they are forgetting that Western countries, they also perpetrate violence either on their own people or on the people of some other countries, and which are not actually taken into consideration. उसी बात को आगे बढ़ाते हुए ये कहा जाता है कि पश्चिम राष्ट्र कैसे अपना आप को नैतिक रूप में सुपीरियर ज़्यादा बेहतर मान नहीं सकते। और आप इसके साथ जो एसोसिएटेड लेजिटिमेसी है कि हिंसा को न्यायोचित रूप में देखना, कि अगर उनके राज्य अगर हिंसा कर रहे हैं तो वो सही है, क्योंकि वो मॉरली सुपीरियर, वो जानते हैं अच्छा क्या है बुरा क्या है। इस तरीके से बात करना ये गलत है, क्योंकि हर व्यक्ति का अपना नैतिकता की बारे में बात होगा। हर नैतिकता अपने लिए बहुत बड़े हैं, सो आपने अपने लिए अपना नैतिकता बड़े हैं, तो इसीलिए यहाँ पर सुपरियरिटी इन्फीरियरिटी की बात नहीं है। और यहाँ पर जिस तरीका से वो अपनी काम काज के ऊपर एक पर्दा डालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, और आप देखेंगे जो भी स्टेट टेररिज्म की बात होती है, राज्य के आतंकवाद, राज्य के द्वारा जो आतंकवाद, इसको वो खास करके डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज के साथ जोड़ रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं कि ये विकासशील राष्ट्र में ऐसे ही होता है। लेकिन ये भुला दिया जाता है कि पश्चिमी राष्ट्र में भी जिस तरीका से राज्य हिंसा करता है, कई बार अपने लोग के ऊपर, कई बार और लोग के ऊपर, उसको नजरअंदाज किया जाता है। Scholars supporting exclusion of state actors. And now there is another important thing here, that many scholars you will find that they would say that if state is actually using violent methods, that should not be included in terrorism. Okay. And what is the reason? The reason would be, they would be giving a very funny reason, that it will not be a meaningful analysis. Okay. So to make it a meaningful analysis, so that you do not actually broaden the meaning of terrorism to unmanageable and useless levels. Okay. If you are including state terrorism in terrorism, state violence in terrorism, then you are unnecessarily broadening the scope, the meaning of terrorism, to a level which is unmanageable and which is unnecessary, according to them. So they would actually say that state sponsored violence should not be regarded as terrorism at all, for the sake of meaningful analysis of the phenomenon. ये लोग कुछ ऐसे सिद्धांत शास्त्री है जो कह रहे हैं राज्य के द्वारा जो हिंसा होती है उसको टेररिज्म का अंदर रखा जाना नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि इसमें अर्थपूर्ण रूप में आप आतंकवाद को व्याख्या करने के लिए अगर चाहते हैं तो इसको आप दूर रखिए, इसको अलग रखिए। इसको अगर मिला देंगे तो इसका मीनिंग इतना ब्रॉड हो जाएगा, इनका व्यापक हो जाएगा कि आप जिसकी आवश्यकता नहीं है, और इसको ये अर्थहीन हो जाएगा, इसको सही तरह से आप व्याख्या नहीं कर पाएंगे। अब कॉन्सेप्चुअलाइजेशन हो रही है टेररिज्म का एट टू लेवल्स। वन इज गांधीयन फॉर्मुलेशंस and the other when political violence is used as the last resort. Gandhian formulations of violence, which you all are acquainted, we'll be talking about that little later. And on the other hand, you have political violence where a group of people, they feel that all other democratic methods of struggle are absent, are just not there, they are denied to them. So they do not have any choice but to be violent. This is called political violence, okay, which is obviously organized at the last resort because there is no other option, no other choice. Okay, so these are two different formulations: Gandhian formulation and formulation of political violence. Let's talk about that. Gandhian formulation, as you know, Gandhi was always for non-violent method of struggle. So he would not actually, consider any kind of violence as legitimate. And for Gandhi, as you all know, there must be a parity between means and ends. Both means and ends must be pure. If you are going to have independence of your country, which is of course a good objective, a good goal, good end, but to get to that end, if you use violent methods, if you use wrong means, then that pure ends also become impure. Your objective of gaining independence for your country will also become impure. So Gandhi was not for that. And Gandhian formulation is very important because you all know that United Nations has declared Gandhi's birthday, okay, birth anniversary, October 2nd, as the International Day for Non-Violence. Okay, and that actually, says it very clearly how Gandhian formulation is becoming very popular. Okay. So Gandhian formulation, as I have already done it in English, so let me do it in Hindi also. कि दो तरह की कॉन्सेप्चुअलाइजेशन होती है, अवधारणाएं है आतंकवाद के बारे में। एक गांधीयन दृष्टिकोण और एक राजनीतिक दृष्टिकोण, जो कि राजनीतिक हिंसा को कहता है कि और कोई रास्ता नहीं है, तो अगर राजनीतिक हिंसा किया जाता है लास्ट रिसोर्ट के रूप में, उसको हिंसा, उसको आतंकवाद नहीं कहना चाहिए। ये एक फॉर्मूला। तो ये दो फॉर्मुलेशन को हम अभी लेते हैं एक एक करके। गांधीयन फॉर्मुलेशन में आप सभी जानते हैं कि अहिंसात्मक लड़ाई का ऊपर वो महत्व देते थे, और वो ये कहते थे कि साध्य एवं साधन दोनों को अच्छा होने की जरूरत थी। अगर आपकी साध्य आपकी कंट्री के लिए स्वतंत्रता, आज़ादी लाना, जो कि एक अच्छा साध्य है, लेकिन अगर आप साधन, हिंसात्मक साधन का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, तो आपकी अच्छा साध्य ही गलत हो जाएगा, पल्यूट हो जाएगा। तो इसीलिए हिंसा का कभी भी वो पसंद नहीं करते हैं, उसका समर्थन नहीं करते। सेकेंड लेवल, when political violence is used in conditions in which no other form of protest is permissible, there is no other way by which you can protest democratically. When all the ways are actually denied to you, you have no other option, then as a last resort, you are taking to political violence. It is argued that it is wrong to call it terrorism. It is wrong to call it violence, because it is for a political objective, for a political method. An example is given of India's freedom struggle. As you know, at one point of time, there are many revolutionaries who are actually, saying that we would be following a policy of a tit for tat, and we'd answer obviously their violence with our violence. Okay, so we'll be using physical force. Okay, so these were called Indian revolutionaries. But since other kinds of democratic protest were denied to them, and Indian revolutionaries obviously took to political violence because of this, you cannot categorize them under terrorism. You cannot say that they were terrorists. You cannot say, and we don't say. We actually, whether it is Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, we always, hold them in high esteem, and we know they were not actual terrorists. They were revolutionaries. They were revolutionaries because other forms of protest were not available. So they were obviously they are trying to use physical violence, but even then they were not actually, doing it against any society, not even British society. They are not doing it against them. अब जो है सेकंड लेवल पे ये बात कहा जाता है कि कैसे राजनीतिक हिंसा, जो कि लास्ट रिसोर्ट के रूप में किया जाता है, जहां पर लोकतंत्र के रूप में विरोध करने का कोई रास्ता बचा नहीं है, अन्योन्योपाय होके लोग जब राजनीतिक हिंसा करते हैं, उसको आतंकवाद नहीं कहा जा सकता है। इसमें एक उदाहरण दिया गया है, भारत की जो विद्रोही, जो एक समय में आपको सभी को पता है कि वो भी ये कह रहे थे कि हम ईंट के जवाब पत्थर से देंगे। वो इसीलिए क्योंकि डेमोक्रेटिक प्रोटेस्ट, लोकतांत्रिक तरीका से अपनी बात को रखने के लिए ब्रिटिश सरकार जो यहाँ शासन कर रहा था, वो किसी तरह से कोई सुविधा नहीं दे रहा था। अन्य उपाय होके जब ये इस तरीका से राजनीतिक हिंसा को अपना रहे थे, उनको आतंकवादी कहना गलत होगा। आज हम जानते हैं कितनी आदर, कितनी सम्मान के साथ, कितनी प्यार से हम राजगुरु, भगत सिंह, इन लोग की बात हम याद करते हैं, और इनको हम स्वतंत्रता सेनानी मानते हैं, जो कि सही माने पे थे। इन्होंने हिंसा कभी किसी समाज के खिलाफ नहीं किए। इन्होंने सिर्फ इतना कहे थे कि ईंट के जवाब हम पत्थर से देंगे, हम भी, हमारी अंदर भी वही शक्ति है, तो अगर हम हमारी ऊपर आप इस तरीके से अन्याय अत्याचार करेंगे, हम सहेंगे नहीं, हम इसका जवाब देंगे, हम चुप नहीं बैठेंगे क्योंकि हम कायर नहीं। तो ऐसे कहना, कोई आतंकवादी ये नहीं था। अब कॉजेस के बारे में हम लोग थोड़ा बात कर रहे हैं कि and when we talk about the causes of terrorism, please remember the complex factors which are rooted in political, economic, socio-cultural, religious, ideological, technological, cross-border aspects of terrorism. Aspects of a country. All these must be taken into consideration, which becomes obviously very complicated. Socio-cultural factors also go a long way in creating terrorist motivation. So if there are social, there are cultural, there are technological, ideological, religious. Religion is, as you all know, is interpreted in a particular way. In that sense, religious. Otherwise, no religion is bad. Every religion has good objectives. Okay. अब ये जो जब वजह के बारे में हम बात करते हैं तो ये बहुत जटिल है। इसमें राजनीतिक, आर्थिक, सामाजिक, सांस्कृतिक, धार्मिक इसलिए है क्योंकि धर्म को कई एक अलग तरीका से ये इंटरप्रेट करते हैं, विचारधारात्मक, तकनीक, अब क्रॉस बॉर्डर, क्योंकि अन्य राज्य से भी कई बार ये स्टेट स्पॉन्सर टेररिज्म के रूप में आती है, जैसे पाकिस्तान से भारत, पाकिस्तान के द्वारा अटैक किया जाता है कई बार, क्योंकि सीधा युद्ध में भारत को परास्त नहीं कर सकता है, तो इसीलिए टेररिज्म की हरकत कर रहा है, घुसपैठ कर रहा है। ये जो सामाजिक, सांस्कृतिक, इस तरीका से जो बहुत सारी कॉम्प्लेक्स फैक्टर्स है, इसमें कई बार आप देखते हैं कि कुछ चीज़ों का गलत इस्तेमाल भी किया जाता है, कल्चर, रिलीजन का गलत इस्तेमाल भी किया जाता है, लेकिन लोग के अंदर जो डिफरेंसेस है उसको एक अलग रूप देके, कई बार धर्म के रूप देकर भी आप सभी जानते हैं कैसे कम्युनल राइट भी बनाया जाता है। तो इसीलिए ये बड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स है, बड़ा जटिल है। कंटेम्प्ररी टाइम्स में what actually is very dangerous, faith-based ideological predilections contribute as one of the most fundamental causes of international terrorism. Some Islamic countries of North Africa, Central and South Asia. Here again, which we have already discussed, so I will not go into the details. Samuel P. Huntington, he argues in his Class of Civilization, civilizational conflicts based on competing social and political values are replacing traditional national conflicts as the defining feature of contemporary international politics. So the traditional national conflicts which were earlier there, now they are being replaced. Replaced by what? By civilizational conflicts which are based on competing social and political values. Social values are different, political values are different, and that is why there is a conflict there. So when you attribute, you add these things to a particular interpretation of religion, then it also becomes religion based. Okay, so that complex phenomenon, okay, that is regarded as a kind of civilizational conflict according to Samuel P. Huntington, who would say that the entire world would be divided into two, like it was in the Cold War era. So you'll have two broad civilizational streams having a clash. This stimuli and nucleus to bring these contradictions in open had been absent earlier. Yes, in multicultural societies, when you have all kinds of differences, diversities, but the stimuli, the nucleus, the circumstances, which could have actually, made them sort of, integrated and open, that were not there earlier. And how these kind of stimuli and nucleus are happening today, And that is why you see international terrorism which is becoming so menacing. We'll talk about that in the next slide. नॉर्थ अफ्रीका, सेंट्रल एंड साउथ एशिया में जिस तरीका से फेथ बेस्ड आइडियोलॉजिकल प्रेडिक्शंस, जो किस तरीका से धर्म को भी एक तरीका से इंटरप्रिटेशन करके उसके साथ जोड़ा जाता है विचारधारा को, और इस तरीका से जो आज देखा जाता है, जिसको एक अलग सेंस में इस्लामाइजेशन भी कहा जाता है, तो वो जो इस्लामिक टेररिज्म कहा जाता है, लेकिन कोई धर्म टेररिस्ट नहीं हो सकता है, ये बात तय है। लेकिन वो कुछ लोग ऐसा है और उनको कहीं ना कहीं कई बार अलग तरीके से इंटरप्रिटेशन करके वो धर्म का नाम खराब करते हैं। सैमुअल हंटिंगटन, जो सिविलाइजेशन एंड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के बारे में हम चर्चा कर चुके हैं, कैसे पारंपरिक राष्ट्रीय जो संघर्ष, जो समस्याएं, उसको आज रिप्लेस करने वाला जो सिविलाइजेशन एंड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट से, सभ्यता के ऊपर आधारित जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है, वो सामाजिक और राजनीतिक मूल्यों के ऊपर आधारित है, वो उसको आज रिप्लेस कर रहा है। पहले जो परिस्थिति उसको ओपन कर सकता था वो नहीं था, आज वो चीजें ओपन हो रहा है। वो स्टिमुलस, वो न्यूक्लियस कहाँ है, इसके बारे में हम नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में बात करेंगे। The adventurous policy of the United States of America, along with the advent of personalities like Osama bin Laden with their organizations, have afforded both stimulus and nucleus. And that is why you are now getting a new kind of terrorism, which is called postmodern or new terrorism. So here you see the stimuli and the nucleus, which are actually making such diversities open, and that is the fault lines are actually coming to the open, and you are getting a pretty bad situation. This is because of the adventurist policy of the United States of America on the one hand, and on the other hand, organizations like Al Qaeda, personalities like Osama bin Laden. Okay, these policies, adventurous policy of USA, and of course these organizations and the personalities like their leaders like Osama bin Laden. So both these factors are actually bringing the fault lines into the open, and which is obviously giving birth to a new kind of terrorism, that is postmodern new terrorism, which is much more very complex. Okay, and it can be even more complex. There may be other hidden simmering discontents which may be lying underneath such activities. And what are those? We should also talk about that. ये जो चीजें आप देखते हैं कि अल कायदा की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ओसामा बिन लादेन की जो पर्सनालिटी है, जिस तरीका से यूएसए की नीति, और ये दोनों एक दूसरे को कहीं ना कहीं एक काउंटर करने का जो प्रक्रिया में ऐसे हो जाता है कि जो समाज की जो फॉल्ट लाइन्स है वो पूरा ओपन हो जाता है, जो चीजें पहले नहीं था। और इसी वजह से एक नई तरीका का अति आधुनिक एक नया आतंकवाद को ये जन्म देता है। और इसके पीछे और भी कुछ गुड रहस्य भी रह सकता है, कुछ और भी डिस्कंटेंट ऐसे रह सकता है जो अंडरनीथ है, जो पता नहीं चलता है, उसके बारे में भी अभी चर्चा करते हैं। जैसे terrorism starts breeding in a region to gain some sort of parity with the power holders in the society in terms of psychological, if not material leverages in the society. Goldstein, one very eminent thinker, he says that terrorism thus amplifies a small amount of power by its psychological effect on large populations. This is why it is usually a tool of the powerless. How those who are powerless, who are marginalized, okay, and they obviously, whether that marginalization is actual or perceived, that may be another question. But when there is such a perception that they are marginalized, they feel that they have no other way but to resort to violence. So that way they are trying to have some kind of parity with the power holders in society. And that is why sometimes, Goldstein would say that terrorism is a tool, or violence is a tool of the powerless, those who are powerless. So it may be a tool in their hands. They may be using it as a tool because they perceive some kind of exploitation. Okay. And they would like to come on a par with other groups in society. So these are some of the underlying causes also. Okay. But what is new today? Galvanization of the numerous terrorist organizations operating in different parts of the world, which in the beginning I said, how they are integrating, cooperating, how they are having common strategy. These are important new areas of terrorism. टेररिज्म को गोल्डस्टीन कहते हैं कि ये आतंकवाद जो है, जो शक्तिहीन है, उसका हाथ में एक शस्त्र है, रूप में काम करता है। तो कहने के मतलब ये है कि इसकी हम अभी तक जो बात कर रहे हैं, इसके पीछे और भी कुछ ऐसे रीजन्स हो सकती है। हो सकता है एक ग्रुप को लगता है कि उसके ऊपर आतंक फैला जा रहा है और इसीलिए उसके पास और कोई रास्ता नहीं है, वो हिंसात्मक तरीका अपनाता है। तो इसीलिए गोल्डस्टीन जैसे कहते हैं, कई बार इस तरीका से भी लोग हिंसात्मक होते हैं। इसको समझने की जरूरत है। जो नई चीजें आज हो रही है, जिसके लिए टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बहुत ज्यादा खतरनाक हो रही है, वो है कि किस तरीका से उनकी बीच में सहयोग हो रही है, इंटरनेशनल कोऑपरेशन हो रही है, और ये जितनी सारी संगठन है, कैसे वो कंबाइंड रूप में कई बार आप देखते हैं, दे आर एक्चुअली obviously fighting against United States, Israel, India, in Britain, even Pakistan also, because they feel that their religion and culture are being marginalized, and these countries are having policies in a manner so as to damage the interest of these particular countries. Okay, these particular groups. Because these particular groups, they feel very protective about their religion and culture, and they feel there is a threat to their religion and culture, and they have to fight back. They have to obviously, or get organized and do whatever they can, and that is why they are actually taking to terrorist methods. Okay. Yes. It's in the 20th century. I think, we have almost, talked about these things in the past also, but here we are actually talking about these things in a much more rather, comprehensive manner. So the processes and technology involved in the economic and political globalization of various regions of the world, the menace of international terrorism is set to get new impetus and operational vibrancy. The globalization of terrorism, that is the important aspect that I would like to emphasize on. Terrorism has become much more pervasive worldwide due to the processes and technologies of globalization, how the technology of globalization are being used. And this has definitely improved the capabilities of terrorist groups to plan, to conduct operations with far more devastation and coordination than their predecessors could have ever imagined. Obviously they are doing it, in a manner now which couldn't have been even thought of by their predecessors. These technologies have improved the capabilities of groups and cells in the following areas. कौन सी areas में? Proselytizing, in preaching, in preaching their ideology, coordination, having integration, security, mobility, and lethality. In all these aspects, they are actually, getting help now from the new technology. Terrorism has undergone dramatic transformation because of this thing, with the balance tilting in favor of the terrorist groups. The balance is in favor of the terrorist groups, and that is why there is a necessity that there must be a concerted and globalized strategy at the global level, and all the countries must come on one single platform to devise a collective method to fight terrorism. Information technology, how it is being refined, and because of the fatal conjunction between computers and satellite communication. This is actually regarding information technology, by using which they are becoming very powerful. And you see that flow of information is happening at a lightning pace. Okay, there is no time gap. So space and time has been completely, you can say, compromised. Okay, there is no limitation of space and time. It has gone beyond all of that. It has been revolutionized. There are two discernible positive advantages for the monster of international terrorism. Two important ways, objectives you can see. As a major objective of the terrorist groups in conducting surprise and indiscriminate attacks on the people and properties is to gain immense publicity. This is one of the important objectives of terrorists, to gain immense publicity through the media coverage of their strike. And this is, please remember, in modern times, because of the new techniques, the information technology, this advantage is definitely being enjoyed by the terrorists, and they can reach out with their message with anyone. So they are reaching out to more people, and they are actually even so far as the psychological aspect is concerned, creating a fear, creating a panic in the minds of the people. This is again happening because of the flow of information also. Second, the terrorists earlier had many difficulties to explain the rationale and validity of their cause. They were short of resources, they didn't have the adequate resources, they didn't have the public support for their cause. So they didn't actually find opportunity to explain their standpoint, and they didn't, obviously they couldn't garner intellectual and material support for their cause. But now such difficulties are not there because of technology, because they find easier and accessible methods like the internet and websites, whose recourse has been widely taken by the terrorists to address the targeted audience all over the world and gain subtle moral and material support from their sympathizers. Shimku, while tackling terrorism is concerned, he is talking about twofold responses. One, statist response, another is cosmopolitan response. Statist response normally views terrorist attacks as acts of war and assumes that the most effective strategy for combating terrorism requires putting pressure on those states that actively or passively support terrorist organizations. So one is a short-term statist response, okay, that is state-centric approach. So you will obviously you will try to combat terrorism, and for doing that you will have to put pressure on those countries, those states which are actively or passively supporting terrorist organizations like Pakistan. Okay, so that is one. The second one is, along with certain measures, there has to be obviously other strategies by which you can address to the deeper issues, the broader issues which may be lying underneath. Long-term strategy of counter-terrorism, according to cosmopolitan strategists, these are cosmopolitan strategists who would be talking about that broader aspect of fighting terrorism, that lies in diagnosing the roots of the problem in terms of issues such as poverty, inequality, social divisions, political discontentment amongst the masses. These issues could be the underlying reasons. So in the long term, these issues must also be addressed so that you can nip it in the bud. You can fight terrorism in the very beginning, okay, from where it begins, where it takes its birth. So if you can actually fight it at the root level, then the branches will not come up. If you can fight it there itself, then obviously before it blossoms, before it actually progresses and develops and becomes ferocious, you can probably nip it in the bud. The basic difficulty with the cosmopolitan response lies in arriving at a consensus whether the issues mentioned above are the real issues, or something else is also important. So there are all kinds of differences actually, and that is the problem which initially I talked about. So you have to have consensus. So notwithstanding the limitation of the international bodies, yes, the international bodies are limited to fight terrorism, but at the same time, please remember, globalization of the phenomenon of terrorism has inspired the countries to join hands. And today, all these countries which are affected by terrorism, and they realize that it is a threat against humanity, they must stand united, and they have to come on a single platform. At the global level, they have to devise joint and concerted strategy, to track down the movement and strike capabilities of the terrorist groups, to bring them out of their hideouts. So you need, for example, after the aftermath of 9/11, anti-terrorist strategy has shifted from being rooted in national endeavors. So now we are talking of international coalition, how we can all come together and have coordinated strategy. Otherwise, we simply cannot, fight them. To flush out the terrorist forces from their hideouts, you need cooperation of everyone. Everyone has to come. You have to take every country on board. You cannot ignore anybody. And for that, obviously, we have to rise above narrow nationalism. So such a strategy is also marred by domestic and foreign policy related calculations of various actors in the game. The point I was just, insisting, that you need to come out of your narrow nationalism, your narrow national interest, to devise a common strategy to fight terrorism. If anybody has some queries, I think we have already crossed the time limit, but even then, can I get one or two query from you? Yes, any questions?
Yes, am I audible, sir?
बोलो बेटे.
Am I audible? Hello.
बेटा ऑडिबल नहीं हो, जोर से बोलो थोड़ा.
सर मैं सर जैसे कि इंडिया में हिंदू राष्ट्र के नाम पे चल रहा है, तो इसको जो गूंज हमारे कंट्री में कर रहे हैं, मार पिटाई, वायलेंस, तो ये हम टेररिज्म के अंदर गिनेंगे इसको या क्या सर, क्या कहें?
हाँ बेटे, जैसे कि आप कोई भी इस तरीका से धर्म का अगर इस्तेमाल करके, अगर आप राष्ट्रीय ह्यूमैनिटी के इंटरेस्ट में अगर कोई काम नहीं कर रहा है, बल्कि धर्म जो ऐसा है कि चीजें है जो कि हमारी प्राइवेट एस्पेक्ट है, हमारी प्राइवेट स्फीयर की बात है, धर्म अपनी अपनी विश्वास की बात है, उसको हम अगर राजनीतिक मुद्दा बनाए तो सरासर गलत है. तो इसीलिए इस तरीका से अगर कोई चीजें कोई करता है तो ऑब्वियसली इसको हम कभी ह्यूमैनिटी के इंटरेस्ट में सही नहीं मानेंगे, तो उसको भी टेररिज्म कहा जा सकता है. इसीलिए आज हमें ये देखने की जरूरत है कि जो सामाजिक आर्थिक जो इंटरेस्ट है, उसमें जो कॉमन इंटरेस्ट है खास करके विश्व का, उसमें हम इकट्ठा हो सकते हैं, हम एक दूसरे के साथ सहयोग कर सकते हैं, हम एक ही पेज में रह सकते हैं. लेकिन ये ना करके हम कई बार अलग अलग चीजों को, कल्चर को, कई बार रिलीजन को, कई बार लैंग्वेज को, कई बार रीजन को इस्तेमाल करके हम कुछ संकीर्ण फायदा उठाना चाहते हैं, और वो एक तरह से आतंकवाद ही है.
हाँ जी सर. As we can see in America, sir, on the basis of color, वहाँ पे चल रहा है issue, black and white के बीच में.
हाँ 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 हाँ. But yes, of course you have actually raised a very important point. Suppose there, for example, you may say that the black people are involved in some kind of protest march. Okay, so can it be actually called a kind of ethnic movement? Yes, of course, in some way it is. But then if they have some genuine grievances, okay, and they are not actually trying to fight kind of ethnic war. They are not actually conspiring something against the humanity, against the interest of common people or other people. Okay, but if they are trying to, suppose to get mobilized, if they are using their language, their religion, or for their matter culture, if they are using religion, culture, or their language to get mobilized and to fight against some genuine grievances which actually they have. So for some genuine grievances, if they are fighting against the American authority, American government, then it is very hard to tell, it is hard to say that they are actually communal. They are not communal. Okay. But simply to reach out to more people, simply to mobilize their own people, they might be using, their ethnicity, their race, they might be using that. But their grievances are genuine. And the fact that at the political level, injustice is being meted out to them, and if they are actually raising their voice against that political system, so they are not actually, doing anything wrong. They are fighting for their democratic rights.
Right.
But yes, if it actually turns out to be, say for example, a communal riot, then obviously it has to be regulated. It has to be controlled. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other queries?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yes, sir.
बोलो बेटे.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, bete. Good morning. Yes.
Sir, I have a question.
Huh.
Sir, we have seen in recent time that young people of South India, especially in Kerala, get influenced by terrorist group like Al Qaeda and ISIS.
Yes, very right.
Sir, we also know that Kerala has highest literacy rate and human development, and also most prosperous state in India. Then, sir, what are the reasons which provoke them to join these terrorist groups, and what measures should government take to stop this?
Yes, we have already talked about that, beta. You can recall I did talk about religion based. Okay, how the indoctrination is becoming far more dangerous today, and because they are using modern technologies, this information technology, and this is the most unfortunate aspect of terrorism. Let me tell you that now actually the so-called professional groups who are highly educated, they are you cannot say that they are ignorant. No, they are not. But consciously, they are actually adopting a policy of terrorism. And because they have been actually indoctrinated, they have been completely brainwashed. And this is thanks to that dangerous style of you can say kind of teaching by which actually these people have been motivated, and they have been completely brainwashed, and they tend to believe that they are doing something in the interest of their group, their religion, their culture, which they are not. Because religion, almost all the religions, you will find that there are good objectives, goals.
Yes, sir.
No religion stands for war, confrontation, violence. No religion stands for that. Every religion stands for peace, non-violence, brotherhood, sisterhood. All that is good. So this is the most unfortunate aspect, and this is because of the information technology, because of the way actually these people are actually trying to capture young minds. So there has to be a counter strategy. If you would ask me how to counter that, yes, I would say that there should be a counter strategy by all the countries together at the global level, so that they counter this kind of vilified campaign of such terrorist groups. And it is these countries, by their unified struggle, they can actually capture these young minds and teach them what is what, how they are wrongly you can say motivated, mobilized. Okay, they have to be obviously talked to. It's not like talking to terrorists, it's talking to your own people. Reach out to them. If you talk to them, probably they might be having some kind of dissatisfaction, discontent somewhere. You have to address to those grievances. Okay, and that can be done through a unified strategy. Okay, thank you, beta. I cannot take any more questions because I have a regular class with my college students. So I'm almost.
Sir, thank you.
Okay, thank you. But I enjoyed your questions, beta. And we'll have many such interactions. Thank you very much. Okay.
Sir, one last question, please.
बेटे मेरा क्लास है बेटा कॉलेज का साथ, तो इसीलिए मेरा रेगुलर कॉलेज जो शिवाजी कॉलेज, उनका क्लास अभी शुरू हो जाएगा और हम काफी समय ले चुके हैं। अब नेक्स्ट आपकी क्वेश्चन में नेक्स्ट क्लास में पहले आंसर करूंगा, ठीक है बेटा? सार्थक बोल रहे हो?
हाँ जी सर। सर मेरा बस एक छोटा सा एक क्वेश्चन है लाइक
नहीं बेटा, मेरा टाइम हो चुका है, मेरा बच्चे जो है ऑलरेडी ज्वाइनिंग हो गए हैं, तो इसीलिए मुझे तुरंत जाना पड़ेगा वहाँ। ठीक है बेटा,
ठीक है सर, ठीक
ठीक
है।
है सर,
नेक्स्ट टाइम
थैंक यू सर,
में
थैंक यू। 12:30 हो चुके सर, कोई बात नहीं, 12:50 हो रहे हैं, आप जा सकते हैं। ठीक है,
नहीं कोई बात नहीं, नेक्स्ट टाइम इनके क्वेश्चंस में ले लूंगा मैम।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
थैंक यू
सर।
मैम ललिता जी, थैंक यू फॉर योर हेल्प एंड सपोर्ट।
ओके, थैंक यू सर।
ओके।
मैं आपको लीव कर दे रही हूँ सर।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सर। चलिए फिर